Yo, what's up guys, Sensus here. And today we're going to be taking a look at my keybinds. A lot of you guys have been asking me what keybinds I use for what abilities. And this is going to be more of an overview than a guide because I do advise you guys to use your own keybinds and use what's comfortable for you because what works for me might not work for you. So anyway, before we get started, I feel it's important that I let you guys know what hardware I use. I use a KeyCool 84 mechanical keyboard and I use a Razer Naga 2012 edition. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, starting off with my sub-spec keybinds. On one, I have my sap and focus sap macro, and the reason why I have this on my bars outside of stealth, along with Garrote and my instant sap macro, is because I want to avoid accidentally using an ability that would be on my bars in that spot outside of stealth. So say for example, I have sap on one while I'm in stealth, and I have shiv on one when I'm out of stealth. I might end up accidentally using shiv on my target if I get knocked out of stealth, if I'm spamming sap. So that's the whole reason behind that. Okay, so 2 is Backstab, 3 is Hemorrhage, 4 is Garrote, 5 is Eviscerate, 6 is Sap, 7 is Slice and Dice, 8 is Kidney Shot, 9 is Blind, 10 is Recuperate, 11 is Mark for Death, and 12 is a Mouse over Focus macro. Okay, moving on to my stealth keybinds. On 1 I have my Sap and Focus Sap macro, 2 is Ambush, 3 is Cheap Shot, 4 is Garrote, 5 is Eviscerate, 6 is my Instant Sap macro, 7 is Slice and Dice, 8 is Kidney Shot, 9 is Blind, 10 is Recuperate, 11 is Mark for Death, and 12 again is a Mouse over Focus macro. Okay, moving on to Shift 2. Shift 2 is my Shadow Dance Ambush macro. Shift 3 is Shadow Dance Cheap Shot. Shift 4 is Shadow Dance Garrote. Shift 5 is Preparation. Q is Stealth. E is Shadow Step. F is Kick. R is Focus Kidney Shot. T is DFA or Shadow Reflection depending on which one I'm spec'd into. X is Smoke Bomb. Z is Vanish. And as for Gouge, since I use a Razer Naga 2012 edition, I was given 2 extra buttons in the middle of my mouse, and I put Gouge on the top middle mouse button. Scroll up is Sprint. Scroll down is Cloak of Shadows. Shift scroll wheel up is Evasion. Shift scroll wheel down is Combat Readiness. V is my Trinket. C is Rupture. G is Shiv. S is Feint. Shift S is Feint. My scroll wheel button is Premeditation. Y is Distract. And Shift 8 is Shroud of Concealment. Now moving on to my 2 sidebars. Starting off with the right one. F1 is Blind Arena Enemy 1. F2 is Blind Arena Enemy 2. And F3 is Blind Arena Enemy 3. They're all macros. Shift 10 is Hellstone. Control 10 uses my bandages. And Shift X uses Mage Food. Next up we have my left sidebar, and the first keybind there is actually a macro. If I use the bottom middle mouse button on my Naga, it'll use my Rocket Boots. But if I use Shift and use the same keybind, it'll use my mount. Next up we have my Goblin Glider, and that is on Shift middle scroll wheel button. Then we have my Shadow Step Healer macro, which is on Shift C. And that's all my keybinds for subspec. Let's move on to Assassination. Alright, now for Assassination, there's only a couple minor differences between this setup and my Subtlety setup. So I'm just going to point out the differences. I'm not going to re-go over everything I just went over. So the first difference is on 2 I have Mutilate, on 3 I have Dispatch, on 5 I have Envenom, and since Slice and Dice is now a passive with Assassination spec, I have DFA on 7 if I'm spec'd into it. And moving on to my stealth keybinds, 2 is Mutilate, 5 is Envenom, and 7 is DFA. Shift 2 is Vendetta, Shift 3 is Dispatch, and Shift 4 is also Dispatch. T is Shadow Reflection if I'm spec'd into it. Shift S is my Trinket, and finally the last keybind you see there that's different is my middle scroll wheel button, and that's actually not even an ability, it's just a show tooltip macro for my Trinket. And that pretty much does it for my keybinds, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and of course, as always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.